ing the jazz bar tab with my name in the wrong song. The tab was clipped to a check presenter the color of old cherries, tucked beneath our door like a polite threat. The bar's name, Blue After, was stamped on the leather in gold that had learned moderation. Inside, the receipt blinked at me with the confidence of a cash register that thinks it knows your life. For Adrian. Under my name, a timestamp that had practiced keeping secrets. 12:42. The line for signature held a flourish that wasn't mine. We don't live at Blue After. We live 3 blocks from the river, in an apartment that forgives more than we deserve. I tune pianos, the kind clubs neglect until their middle octaves try to leave. Ezra, my partner, designs exhibitions for a museum that looks better on Wednesdays. We've been together 5 years. We keep 2 glasses near the sink because we built a rule out of water: pour before the sentence that changes a day. The night before, Ezra had come home smelling like cedar and the slick patience of a lobby that sells permission. He kissed my neck and missed by half an inch, the way you miss a note you know and hate yourself for. He undressed in the hall with the moving carefulness of a man who doesn't want to wake the furniture. He slept on his side like boundaries had become a talent. Under the receipt, folded once, a note had been slipped into the presenter where credit slips usually hide. If you still want the truth, booth 7, 9, 30, J, no surname. The letter curved like someone who signs their name in rooms with low light. I tuned a B-tup upright in a church basement that morning and pretended the D above middle C wasn't trying to become autobiographical. Then I walked to Blue After because waiting is a kind of performance I don't audition for anymore. The bar smells like lemon oil and regrets that no better. Behind the stage, the piano needed a stern word and a new felt strip. It would get both another day. Booth 7 sat near the edge of the small dance floor, under a photograph of a singer who made trouble look like economy. 2 glasses of water already sweated on the table like good intentions. Julian slid into the booth at 9:30 with a grace that didn't ask to be thanked. Taller than I wanted him to be, dark hair humid with August, a shirt open 1 step past convenience. He smelled like cedar and the last hour of a lobby that believes in second acts. "You came," he said, as if gravity had done him a favor. "You put my name on a receipt," I said. "The leather said please." He smiled without winning. "I didn't want you to hear about me from the version of him that apologies have trained," he said. "He thinks he's meeting me to end something politely. I thought you should have the room first." "How long?" "8 months," he said, and didn't try to civilize it. "It started with rain and an elevator and the museum's lobby, which sells permission with carpet. I ended it twice. He sent me a photo of your breakfast and a complaint about a label's kerning. I respected his sentence against my better judgment." He reached for the water and passed me a glass. Our fingers touched. The heat that lives in a city like ours trying to be August wrote a paragraph on my palm. He came closer and stopped with an inch between his hand and my wrist. That inch was explicit. He didn't touch me. Restraint did its indecent work. The stage lights softened. The house lights pretended to be helpful. A trio started a ballad that had no business being brave. Ezra walked in at 9:38 with the face he gives docents, earnest, precise, a volume that you trust even when you shouldn't. He saw me. He saw Julian. He saw the water, the inch, the bed that wasn't in the room and had still entered as a witness. He closed his mouth like a hinge that deserved dignity. "Okay," he said. The word did perfectly what it was meant to. "You could have kept the receipt out of our house," I said. "You chose not to." "I chose incompetence," he said. "And then cowardice. I cheated. I told myself it was weather and home is a noun that survives rain. I told myself your patience is elastic because you fix notes that don't deserve mercy. I told myself spark was structure. I want to stop hearing me. Julian had retreated toward the aisle the way decent men make way for air. He lifted his hand toward my neck again and stopped at that same inch. Heat remembered its manners. He lowered his hand like a person returning a borrowed word. "What do you want me to do?" Ezra asked, the best grammar he has. "You'll end it," I said. "You'll sleep on the couch we refuse to dignify with the word guest. Next week you'll tell me what this was twice. Once with your museum voice that pastes narrative over bone, once with small words. I'll decide what my hands can hold without lying to my wrists." "I'll do that," he said, and the trio moved into a bridge that believed in mercy. Julian leaned in one last time, close enough for breath to draw a map, and set his mouth near my ear without touching it. "Thank you for not making me a lesson," he said. "We would have believed you." He left without turning any door into punctuation. Ezra and I sat in that booth until the set ended. The bill arrived even though nobody asked for one. I tucked the receipt with my name into the presenter and left cash because some rituals are louder than justice. Outside, the air practiced not being hot. We walked home without touching. At the corner, a cyclist cut the curb and Ezra reached in reflex. His palm hovered near my hip, heat offering a version of mercy we could both want and refuse. I refused. A man is allowed to use the boring tool that keeps the lock from lying. At home, the kettle auditioned and then boiled. He made tea and laid blankets on the couch with the care of someone who has learned how to borrow without stealing. I slept alone and woke like a mechanism I hadn't tested. He ended it the next day. He returned from a lobby that sells permission smelling like nothing, the cologne I will allow for as long as this works. He told me the truth twice. In museum voice, a narrative that sanded corners down to polite shapes. In small words, he liked being two men because one of them wasn't tired. He mistook spark for structure. He can be one person if I let him do the work. I let him. This is the part no one pays to watch. He slept on the couch for 6 nights and relearned the distance between our door and our bed. On the 7th, he came back and remembered my mouth with the lazy precision we taught each other early and almost forgot. Erotic is not a command. It's compliance after choosing. 2 days later, Julian texted, "Thank you for letting me tell the truth under bad light." I wrote back, "Try it when nobody's lighting you." He didn't reply, which was the second best thing he did. Work stayed exact. I tuned the middle octave on the club's piano until the ballad stopped sounding like work. I watched a kid adjust his own truss rod and listened while the neck sighed into straightness. He looked at me like I'd invented consequence. I lettered open on a bakery window and gave the letters more air than the owner expected. He framed the space with 2 ferns and later told me the day felt less loud. A week later, I saw Julian outside the museum. He looked smaller. Maybe my anger had stopped needing him to be tall. He said hello without trying to hold my afternoon hostage. He did not smell like cedar. The space between us felt less like a dare. We stood under the awning until the weather remembered it wasn't part of the story, and then we left. Here is the part I won't dignify with nobility. I wanted him. I wanted the inch, the heat, the way his restraint taught my skin manners. I wanted to make a mistake that could be narrated neatly on the way home. I didn't. Wanting is a sentence, not a command. Bodies vote. Ethics count. Boredom is underrated if it helps you like yourself at noon. Ezra and I adjusted the frame. 2 glasses before 3 sentences. Less reach, better touch. We stopped letting the kettle decide tone. We stand near the exit at openings not because we plan to leave, but because rooms breathe better when doors aren't theirs. Sometimes we sit on benches not because we're tired, but because patience looks like courage if you get the light right. If another tab lands under our door with my name where math belongs, I will bring water. I will sit where the exit is obvious and not call that cowardice. If a hand lifts toward my neck, I will let the inch exist and answer in a tense I can carry past morning. I will keep choosing verbs that keep us possible. End, stay, tell, work, touch, wait. And when I strike middle C and two strings agree like a room remembering its manners, I will think about the night in the bar where we refused a finale and argued for repair instead. And I will call that small air the most difficult thing I know how to make, and the only thing that still holds when daylight forgets its lines.